Iran is calling a major Israeli attack a declaration of war, with the Israeli military striking a number of targets, including Tehran's nuclear and military sites. Now, Tehran has called on the UN Security Council to address this issue, with President Masoud Pezeshkian warning Iran's response will make Israel regret, quote, its foolish act. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei adding Israel will face a bitter and painful fate. Columns of smoke rose over Iran's main nuclear enrichment facility in Natanz. State media showing what looked like the immediate aftermath of several explosions. The Israeli military reporting retaliation, with Iran firing 100 drones. Overnight strikes from Israel targeting senior military leadership and bases, including the headquarters of Iran's Revolutionary Guard. State media confirmed that those killed include the chiefs of the Revolutionary Guard and the armed forces. Israel says it has, quote, neutralized most of the senior leadership of the Air Force. U.S. President Donald Trump is urging Iran to, quote, make a deal before there is, quote, nothing left, and warns the next attack, which is already planned, will be even more brutal. And our correspondents join us live. Trent Murray live in Tel Aviv and Jagruti in Washington, D.C. Let's start first with you, Trent. Israeli ministers, not just the foreign minister, the prime minister himself, warning that this is just the start of a campaign that will go on as long as it takes for Israel to achieve its objectives. What are Israel's objectives?
Well, Sue, this, of course, is a very major and complicated military operation which has got underway here. We understand 200 fighter jets from the Israeli Air Force have taken part in this operation, targeting more than 100 sites across Iran. But while it's a complex military operation, in many ways the aim for the Israelis is quite simple, and that is to eliminate and disable Iran's ability to enrich uranium and to build a nuclear weapon. For them, they are saying that this poses an existential threat to the country of Israel, which is why they are acting so heavy-handed here in order to try and land a very serious blow on the Iranians. Now, what we do know is that throughout much of today, over the past couple of hours even, there have been waves and waves of additional airstrikes. That tells you that the Israelis believe that they are gaining air supremacy within Iranian airspace, and that this is a process that could continue on. Of course, what the Iranians are saying is that there will indeed be retaliation, but certainly Iranian state media is reporting that not only were around 20 senior military commanders killed in this airstrike operation, really causing major disruption to the chain of command within Iran, but also military bases, weapons storage areas, as well as the crucial nuclear enrichment facility being disabled through additional strikes. So I think right now the Israelis are feeling emboldened. They know that many of Iran's regional proxies have been taken off the chessboard, so to speak, including Hezbollah and Hamas, and they are using this opportunity to try and settle a decades-old score with the Iranians and to try and prevent them acquiring or building a nuclear weapon.
Trent, the Israeli military and Israeli government officials may feel emboldened, but what do the people of Israel feel with this massive attack?
Well, certainly when those emergency alerts went out at around 3 a.m, I think for the 10 million people living here, they knew that this was a serious situation. A state of emergency was declared, and people had been told throughout much of the day to stay close to their bomb shelters. That has somewhat abated the level of urgency after that initial warning was lifted and people were told they could move about once more after those drones were successfully shot down by the Iranians. But I think more broadly, there is still an understanding that Iran could delve into its missile stockpile and unleash another major barrage against Israel. We have seen long lines at supermarkets, for example, people stocking up on essential supplies like candles and bottled water. We've also seen airlines here at the main airport, Ben Gurion International, evacuate all of their aircraft. That airport is now empty. They're flowing their planes to places like Greece and Cyprus, seemingly wanting to prevent any damage to the planes if indeed there is an Iranian missile attack.
Well, thanks. Trent Murray there for us in Tel Aviv. Let's head to Jagruti for us in Washington, D.C. Jagruti, we heard Trent there talking about reactions on the ground in Israel. Israelis might feel more reassured with greater U.S. support. And we've heard from the U.S. president both on his social media site as well as on an interview with ABC. What are the implications of these messages from the U.S. president?
Well, I think one of the major implications is that we are, as Trent mentioned, likely to see further strikes from Israel on Iran. And that is something that the US president has said that there could be more brutal and further consequences if Iran doesn't make a deal. And what the president is saying is that Iran must make a deal. And he appears to be using these strikes as leverage in the upcoming negotiations that are expected on Sunday. But of course, a big question mark as to what happens next with those negotiations. Donald Trump appears to be using this moment as an opportunity to try to put more pressure on Iran, saying that they must make a deal on their nuclear activities. Otherwise, they could suffer further, more brutal consequences, as he said. And he's blaming Iran for the failure of these negotiations that have been ongoing in recent months. Arguably, it could be seen as a failure of Trump's own diplomatic approach, that he, despite his promises to secure peace in the Middle East, has failed to reach an agreement with Iran through diplomacy. So there are significant questions that Donald Trump's messages raise about the future of peace in the Middle East, as well as the future of these negotiations.
All right, we'll look at the future of these negotiations immediately on this weekend. These talks, just a few hours ago, there were still questions about whether or not these talks in Oman between Steve Witkoff and the Iranian side will actually go ahead. All signs right now are that they will proceed this weekend in Oman. All that we've seen happening from this attack, are they likely to derail any possible progress in talks between the US and Iran this weekend?
Yeah, and that's really the moot point, isn't it? And I think, interestingly, Donald Trump appears to have hit the nail on the head in his typical fashion. He has said that this incident might help, but could also blow it. And that really is it. It's that gamble, isn't it, that Donald Trump appears to be taking, is that, and that the Israelis appear to be taking as well, that, could these strikes on Iran help with the negotiations and put pressure on Iran, be used as leverage by Donald Trump as he would like? Or could they really threaten to undermine it? Some argue that that is what the Israelis would like to do. They are worried about any potential agreement between the US and Iran, any improvement in their relationship, because some experts say that is leading many people in the Israeli establishment to worry that that could jeopardize their relationship with the United States. So that is one point with regards to these strikes and their potential impact on this weekend's negotiations. But of course, the question is that does Iran have the capability to respond in kind? Should Israel continue their strikes and should Iran refuse to back down? Does Iran have that ability to attack Israel in kind? So I think while Trump is saying that he doesn't want strikes to continue, I think there's a lot at stake here, and a lot of people are going to be watching to see, as you say, if these talks are in fact going to go ahead.
Well, thanks for that. Jagruti reporting there from Washington, D.C. A concern from all corners of the world over Israeli strikes on Iran, with calls for tensions to be diffused. Many countries condemning the attacks as a breach of Iranian sovereignty.
中方高度关注以色列袭击伊朗，对有关行动可能带来的严重后果深感担忧。 中方反对侵犯伊朗主权、安全和领土完整，反对激化矛盾、扩大冲突。
Singapore's Foreign Affairs Ministry expressing deep concern. No Singaporeans have been reported injured in Israel or Iran. However, the ministry advised against travel to both countries. Singaporeans already there have been urged to stay indoors, remain vigilant, and monitor developments. A nuclear talks host, Oman, this over the weekend, slammed Israel over what it called a dangerous escalation, warning they could undermine diplomatic solutions and threaten regional sovereignty. It has since called on the international community to adopt a clear and firm position to stop Israel's approach. Saudi Arabia also condemned the strikes, denouncing Israeli moves as acts of aggression. Russia chiming in as well, labeling strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities unprovoked and a breach of the United Nations Charter. NATO Chief Mark Rutte has called for urgent de-escalation, stressing the importance of alliance members acting to ease the situation. Mr. Rutte also highlighted that the unilateral nature of Israeli actions. EU's top diplomat, that's Kaja Kallas, described the developments as dangerous. She urged all parties to exercise restraint and to push for diplomacy.